Hi, this is Denise Sutton reporting for Can We Talk Television, and welcome to the show. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. I have a wonderful show for you today, 4 unique and distinct women. I call them the Women of Excellence, and they're joining us today, and we're going to have an open discussion on many topics that you yourself may be concerned or thinking about. And I would like for each of them to introduce themselves, starting from my far left.
Hi, I'm Kava Hicks, and I am a member and also the First Lady of True Word Life Ministries. Our headquarters is in Staten Island, and we have another location in Brooklyn, New York.
Hi, my name is Michelle Hobby, and I'm affiliated with Beulah Tabernacle Church, and my pastor is Pastor Horace C. Michael, and we are in Brooklyn location.
Grace and peace. My name is Valina Bratton, and my church affiliation is God's Blueprint for Life Ministry, where my husband and I are both co-founders, and we serve as servant leaders. And we are located in Queens, New York.
Hi, my name is Deborah Michael, and I am so happy to be fellowshipped at True Word Life Ministries, where my pastor is the Apostle Isaac Hicks Jr.
Now, our first question has to deal with something that's going on. It's been around for years, but the women's liberation movement. Do you think for the body of Christ, is that a hindrance or it's something that's good? What are your thoughts?
And that was fine, but I think over time it has created a problem where, especially for men, because now women they're the caregivers of the house, and they are the breadwinners for the home. So now the man is on the outskirts, and it actually gives them cause for women to say, well, I don't need you. I can do it myself. And because I ride public transportation, and a lot of times, just to giving up a seat, some men will just, they will bum rush you to get to that seat. And I'm like, listen, you can have the seat if it's that serious, But it's like, well, you wanted to be liberated, so this is, it's this harshness, like, they don't want to open the doors for you anymore. They don't. There's no courtesy. And not all men are like that. I just want to let's say that. But it has caused this element where it's like, well, since you wanted to be free, you wanted to do this, well, now, there you have it. You don't look for me to open the door for you. Don't look for me to pull the chair from the table. Don't look for me to do these things for you because you wanted to have a voice.
It comes across that way for some men because of some women and their personality. I don't think that it was a bad thing that it happened.
Right.
I think it was I think it was a need for balance. Absolutely. But what I think has happened and why it has taken a turn for the negative is that society, if you will, has blown it out of proportion, because really it was not intended for us to take the men's role.
Absolutely. That's not the way
it was
God
never
designed
intended
it.
for us to take their role.
Absolutely.
But again, we do have brains.
Yes.
We do want careers. We do want to sometimes make our own money. Because I had a strong black mother. I had a strong grandmother who raised me, and I came out of a single parent home. So the whole submissive thing was a little tricky for me because I was used to making my own money and doing my own things. But then I got to Christendom really heavily, and I understood the order.
Right. So we know that there is an order.
There's an order.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be a man. I love everything about being a woman.
That's right.
And I'm okay with that. But my husband also understands that I have a place as well.
Right.
And so with the women's rights and their liberation, I think it's a beautiful thing in context. When we take over and we become the man and how we present ourselves, then that's where it takes a negative turn.
Absolutely.
We know that God made man.
Right.
And when he made man in his image.
Amen.
And when God decided to make woman, he didn't scoop down and take up another piece of clay. He went inside of man. So anything that comes out of you, how is it lesser?
Yes.
Right. Right.
It's equal.
That's right.
It's equal.
That's right.
It is equal. Different in the things that it does, or how we, whatever our roles, but equal in stature.
Yes.
So in church and in Christendom, there should be a balance.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of times there isn't. And when there isn't, it's a dishonest and a disservice to God. Because if we are the reflection of Christ, if we're supposed to be the reflection of Christ, and there is a hierarchy in terms of you're not as good as me, or you're not capable of doing these things, I just think it stems from massive ignorance.
The women's movement, as you were saying, which is very important, initially it was for social issues.
Yes.
The women's right to vote.
Absolutely,
Yes.
1920.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
The woman's right to independently make her own money. Doesn't mean that you're taking the man's place, but you have the right to make equal pay for an equal job. And
used to
those
be-
kinds of things, that, believe it or not, it's still going on. Women are still paid this a disproportionate
Okay, but
wage.
take it back even further. It used to be legal to be able to beat your wife within an inch of her life. Because wives were considered property. So it's not even about making just money. It's about being
But
considered
that was a whole
human.
idea,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
of the feminist movement, the women's movement. And to tell you the truth, in some parts of the country, it hasn't changed.
Oh, no, it hasn't. I
The
know. It's
ignorance and the abuse and the lack of respect and equal rights is still very, very prevalent. But what I think that we all agree upon, because we all are women of God, is that there is a ordained order.
Absolutely.
And when we shift it in any way, it creates a societal imbalance.
Absolutely.
Not just in the body,
Exactly.
but and I think that's the effect that we see in society today.
Absolutely.
That women, for whatever reason, feel, oh, I can hold down the mother's role and the father's role, which is just so imbalanced. And it's the truth is, the home has suffered because, as you were saying, I thought your perspective at the beginning was very important. That we think that we're so strong, we can do it, and we end up pushing out the man that we really do need. We really do need him in our homes. So I thought that was great. I really do.
You're strong in your job. You're strong when you have things to do. If you're taking care of your children, you're the head. You can do it all. Hear me roar. But then that same woman who appears to be strong is being abused at home by her husband.
I think what's key is the word appears. I don't think that we take enough time to deal with the internal and the things that are being masked. I think a lot of women are still little girls in women bodies.
Yes.
They've matured on the outside, appearingly, but not in here. There have been some deep-rooted things that have happened to some of us, and we've not yet dealt with them. And so we just continue a cycle. And a lot of that behavior is just cycle. It's what happened when my mother was growing up, and then you don't talk about it. You know, this is just a way of life for some people. And no matter how good the man may be, no matter how good he's bringing to you, it's something about familiarity, that comfort zone, that thing that I know, that we just revert back to because we haven't dealt with what we need to deal with to be free of that. So I think that's why.
And the vicious cycle will continue.
It continues until we break it.
That's right.
Until we break it.
There has to be, like she said, you have to talk about it. You have to be aware that there is a problem, and understanding that you shouldn't be abused. There's a lack of love. self-esteem, you know. It just shows that, and then God didn't create us to be beat on like that.
No.
You know, I mean, we
Absolutely not.
no. You put your hands on me, no, it's going to be a problem. But I'm just saying that, you know, there needs to be some saying, you know, in order for me to keep a man in my life, that is okay for him, whether it's physical or verbally, to
Or
abuse
mentally,
me.
yeah.
No, it's not. And both of them are terrible, you know.
Or
But
sexually.
absolutely, there are people here. I mean, we talk about here, but there are people in other countries that have it much, much worse.
What love is, because oftentimes those women, I love him, and see, but when it's love, love can only be love if it's love on the same level. If you love this person more than they love you, that's called worship.
Yeah.
And if they're looking down on you, but they say they love you, that's called pity. So it's a redefining of what love is and getting to the root core of it and understanding I'm calling this love, and what this is worship and pity. And that's when they're stuck. And they're stuck, they're literally a prisoner without any bars, without a cage.
Wow.
And they're locked up in their own mind.
Bondage.
Because they think this is what love is. Now, I was fortunate. My parents, before my dad passed, was married for 58 years. And my mother's a strong woman, but my father was a strong man. Strong Mexican man, strong African-American woman. And it was just watching a dance. And they were each other's best friends. So in my mind, growing up, I didn't know people could get divorced. I had never seen that. I didn't know that parents fought, because I had never seen that. Like, I literally have never heard my parents argue, which is amazing that, now that I'm this age, I see that. But their example showed me that it is possible.
Yes.
And I know that they must have, but they did it in a way that was adult, behind closed doors. And the example that my mother showing her strength, and my father was strong enough in his manhood that allowed her to be who she is. So I saw equal strengths.
Wow.
So I never thought I had to diminish my light. If I felt like I had to diminish who I was, I knew that guy wasn't the guy.
What we're all saying is that it really does start in the home.
It does.
It starts with the pattern that you see modeled in the home with your parents,
Absolutely.
with your father and his girlfriend, or your mother and her boy. Those kinds of patterns are how we learn initially.
Absolutely.
You know, and I kind of had the same experience that you did with my mother and father, but I saw them argue and I saw them make up.
Okay.
So learning how to argue and not be demeaning and not be vicious and it's not an attack. It's really a I'm voicing my perspective. We disagree, but we still love each other.
Yes.
You know, and so they could be arguing and talking about whatever they're talking about, and she's at the kitchen, washing the dishes, and he pats her on the butt. So I'm like, and she didn't look upset. So I'm like, okay, that was an argument. I'm not sure what this is. So you live and you learn. Right. So you live and you learn that we can disagree.
Absolutely.
I can have my opinion, and we are still a loving family.
Absolutely.
Debbie, go get your father. Tell him his food is on the table. So I think the model that we learn is really in the home.
Absolutely.
And it was either, it could be abuse or it could be neglect.